So yeah, welcome everyone to this talk. I would like to thank Bernard Barra and Dami for this opportunity to actually preach the gospel of Bitcoin. um, so for today, I'll be talking about career opportunities in Bitcoin. You know, it's a growing ecosystem right now, and there's a lot of career opportunities that you can key yourself into. A little bit about me. I lead engineering at Bitrust. So Bitrust is a non-profit that teaches experienced software engineers about Bitcoin. You know, they get to learn about Bitcoin, they get to contribute to Bitcoin, and they get to earn in Bitcoin. You know, basically. So that's basically what Bitrust do. I like Dami said, I got my first Bitcoin in 2015. I actually wanted to pay for a service online. I really can't remember what it was all about, but I know the um, person told me, okay, I can receive payment in Bitcoin. So I did a little bit of research. You know, what is Bitcoin? How can I send Bitcoin to this person? And that led me to, buying my first Bitcoin. Fortunately for me, I actually didn't, um, get to send that Bitcoin to that person. Something happened. I just forgot it in my wallet. Um, After like a year, I think I checked it and it was up, times 10 of what I got. So I was like, wow, what is this Bitcoin all about? So that got me more interested in the Bitcoin. And I bought a couple of Bitcoin, in the coming years. By your right hand side, there's this website called localbitcoins.com. It's a peer to peer network where you get to buy, and sell Bitcoin from all over the world in any fiat currency, you know. So I bought, 42,000 worth of Bitcoin when Bitcoin was about 508,000, you know. Today, Bitcoin is about 830 million. So if you do your math, the worth of that Bitcoin I got back then is about 10 million naira right now, you know. But I don't have that Bitcoin anymore. I actually sold it. So for those of you that know my house, please, I have sold that Bitcoin. I no longer have that Bitcoin. So yeah, I also got the opportunity to um, start working on technology, as a developer in 2021, and since then it's been a hell of a ride. It's been interesting since then. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's my Twitter handle. So yeah, for today we're going to be talking about these different topics. We're going to start with the Bitcoin revolution. How Bitcoin has been expanding and how that has led to more opportunities in different career paths. We're going to also be looking at the key trends that are driving these careers. What are the things that are making these careers spring up, you know, in these different pathways? And we're going to be looking at the different roles, be it technical, non-technical, and the new and upcoming roles. We're also going to be looking at some of the skills and tips you can use to actually build a career as a Bitcoin developer. And finally, we're going to be looking at some of the APIs that BitNob, currently provides for you to build your own thing. So yeah, starting with the Bitcoin revolution. As we all know, Bitcoin has actually it's a global phenomenon right now. It has been expanding. It has changed the financial landscape, in today's world. Um, Before now, people can't send money to other people in a part of the world without, the banks knowing, without the government knowing, and you're restricted to a certain amount, you know. But with Bitcoin, you can do all that without anybody knowing. You know, it's a global phenomenon. There's nobody in the world, any part of the world that does not know what Bitcoin is all about. Um, you know, a lot of people started talking about Bitcoin that it's a scam, it's not gonna, But today, Bitcoin is $86,000. You know, it grew from zero to $86,000. You know, right now, as of last year, 2024, the market cap exceeded $1 trillion. You know, with so many active users using it. You know, market cap is basically the price of Bitcoin multiplied by the amount of Bitcoin out there. You know, today we have about $1.7 trillion worth of Bitcoin creation. You know, so that's to tell you that it's the revolution is picking up, and this is the time to come in and build a career in it. Lots of institutions are currently using Bitcoin. When I mean institutions, I'm talking about governments, talking about banks, different institutions. We have governments like the US government currently on Bitcoin. They're currently holding Bitcoin. You know, if it was worthless or if it didn't have any value, I think they would have sold it. You know, UK, the same thing. In El Salvador, you have people using Bitcoin in their day-to-day activities. You know, so this adoption is currently worldwide, and this actually presents a unique opportunity for developers to actually, come on board and empower each other. So yeah, that's basically it. Moving on to the key trends. Some of the key trends that are currently driving um, the Bitcoin space. If you look at the right, you get to see the Bitcoin ecosystem. A lot of concentrations in the west, the east, and the southern parts. You know, we're talking about over 50 different institutions that are currently using Bitcoin, promoting Bitcoin, employing people that are currently working in the Bitcoin space, you know. So, and this is just Africa. We have Europe, we have the US, we have Asia. The adoption is actually really, really massive, you know. So lots of careers, lots of people are being employed by all these companies in the world right now. There's still a gap in Northern Africa. So if you have an idea, and you want to expand it to this part of Africa, there's enough room for everyone. Like I said, the institution has been adopting it, governments been adopting it. At the time, Tesla was receiving Bitcoin as payment for buying Tesla cars, you know, and those money they received, they've actually held on to it, and they refused to sell the Bitcoin because they know the value will keep, going up. Um, Scaling solutions like Lightning has actually led to more careers. Before, we just have what we call Bitcoin developers or people working in Bitcoin space. Now, with solutions like Lightning, we have, Lightning developers, we have Lightning engineers, different careers in the Lightning space. For those that don't know, Lightning is a layer two blockchain on top of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is quite slow when it comes to sending money from one person to another. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to confirm the transaction. But with Lightning, you do that in seconds, and you get to send um, Bitcoin in smaller quantities because the price of Bitcoin is actually going higher. So you need smaller quantities to send from one person to another. For example, if $1, if you actually need $1 to buy a house, or if the price of a house gets to $1, so that means in order to buy food or buy stuffs, you need like cents. That is where the Lightning Network comes to place to break down Bitcoin into smaller chunks where you can send to each other. Also, the demand for open source contributions has currently expanded. You know, Open source are basically projects that are out there in the open. It's in GitHub. You can go contribute to it. You don't need anyone's permission. These are solutions that people feel is going to benefit a lot of people. So they make it available for anyone to come contribute to it. So right now, a lot of people need, um, a lot of people are needed to actually come and contribute to open source. Bitrus has a program, or has a program, yeah, called grants, where they give people funding to actually work on these different projects. At the end of my talk, I'll be sharing some links, where you can apply for such if you're already contributing, or if you're interested in contributing to open source and Bitcoin development. The rise of Bitcoin-focused fintech companies has also, increased the demand for more people in the Bitcoin space. Um, a decade a decade ago, we didn't have what we call AI engineers or machine learning engineers. Those roles were not existing. Even data engineers, they were not existing. But people were talking about AI back then, you know, but those roles were not existing. Today, you have millions of people around the world working as AI engineers, machine learning engineers, because of the fact that AI has actually, stepped up. Same thing with Bitcoin. Um, Even 5 years from now, you didn't have Bitnob, you didn't have Mappy, you didn't have Splice or Bitsaco. These are Bitcoin companies that are currently changing the game in Africa, right? They were not existing 5 years ago, right? But today, they're existing and they are currently employing thousands of people, in these different startups. So this has led to a lot of different career paths in the Bitcoin space. And lots of opportunities are also available in the security, cryptography, and privacy part of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently the most secured blockchain out there. So a lot of money has been put into securing the network. From time to time, you keep hearing about blockchains getting hacked, you know, but Bitcoin has never been hacked, you know. So there are a lot of opportunities in security parts. And another thing I is actually making waves right now is the privacy part. You know, um, right now, if you send Bitcoin from one person to another, it's an open network, so you can see that okay, Bitcoin was sent from this address to that address. You can even see the amount. But with privacy right now, only the sender and the receiver we get to see those amounts. You know, you can see that all funds are being moved from year to year, but only the sender and receiver will be able to see it. So lots of money is being currently invested in the privacy of Bitcoin. So those are part of the things that are moving Bitcoin careers. So for the roles and the career paths, I broke them down into three different parts: the technical, the non-technical, and the emerging roles. Right. For the technical roles, you have the core developers. These are the guys that are working on the Bitcoin core infrastructure, which is the layer one platform. Um, Bitrust has a couple of devs working on there, and they're being paid to do that work, right? Um, we have the Lightning developers. Like I mentioned, Lightning is the layer two on top of Bitcoin. You know, this is a career path you could also venture into. We have the wallet developers. So a wallet is basically like used for managing your Bitcoin. So a lot of people want to open an app and be able to see how much they have and also send and receive funds. So if you're a mobile developer, you can actually switch into, you know, becoming a wallet developer. Also, we have technical writers, right? We need people that are going to explain these different products or services that are built using Bitcoin, both for technical people and non-technical people. Technical writers are actually go-to guys for that. The infrastructure and DevOps guys, these are the guys that manages, these different Bitcoin nodes, because Bitcoin is a network, the network of people, you know. So you need to manage this network and understand, what's happening in the network. If there's any issue, these guys are the ones to actually respond to it. Um, and lastly, for the technical part, we have the security experts. You know, I used to work for a company where Bitcoin company where every code we want to, push out there to production needs to be audited by these guys. They look through the code, make sure there's no bug, make sure everything is fine before they actually um, allow that code to go into production. These guys are seriously paid in the industry. In fact, they were even external guys. They were not part of the company, so they didn't even have to know what we were building. All they wanted to look at is our code to see if there was any way it could be exploited. So yeah, that's a very niche that is currently upcoming in the Bitcoin space. For the non-technical, we have UI UX designers. These guys are very, very important. They, create interfaces that are easy to use. I want to be able to um, get onboarded into a Bitcoin product without, wasting too much time. In 30 seconds, I want to be onboarded. I want to start, sending funds or receiving funds as soon as possible. These guys make such journey easier for you. Product managers, end to end, they try to make sure the products you're building, is up and running, and layers between the management and also the developers. We have the growth marketers guys. These are the guys that sell this product out there. Talk about the product, what the product can do, and also bring more people to come on board. We have the community guys. These guys are the guys that manages the different communities. The image I showed the last time, we have so many communities in the Bitcoin space. Um, we have the Bitrus Builder community. I'll be sharing the Discord link um, later to actually, you can join this community. We have people that needs to manage this community. This is a niche. We currently have people like that in Web 2. So you can easily pivot into managing communities in, the Bitcoin space. Finally, we have the policy, compliance, and advocacy role. I see a lot of lawyers keying into such roles, right? Um, I know for a fact when one of Bitcoin company wanted to expand to another country, they had to look for a lawyer that understood the policies of that country, reach out to her, talk to her, okay, we're trying to build this product. What are the laws? What are the policies? So that we don't break them. So if you're currently, if you're a lawyer and you key into such career paths, it's going to be, a very lucrative one for you. Same thing with compliance. Make sure, whatever they're building in such countries compliant with the laws of that country. And advocacy, we need people in government to actually advocate for Bitcoin. If you're someone that's you know a lot of people in government, you talk to them from time to time, you can advocate for, Bitcoin, talk about try to liaise with the government to see how they can bring in policies that are going to favor people that are building, on Bitcoin. So this is a very good career path to venture into. And the emerging roles, we have a lot of educators springing up, talking about Bitcoin, trying to preach to people about it, for people that don't understand it, right? Um, Especially people that are not tech savvy. We have a lot of people preaching. So if you're a teacher, you know how to break down concepts, you know how to explain things to people. Yes, a lot of companies are currently looking for you guys. Um, API integration specialists. So in the fintech world, there are different players. You can't do it all. So there are different players that are currently in this space. Each player have their own API. So if you're building a product, you might need to integrate with two or more of these guys to actually get things done. You know, so we need people that understand what it means to integrate with these different players. Who are the players to integrate with? Why should we integrate with them? What services are they offering? So we need people that understand these different players and how they can come together to build fantastic products in the Bitcoin space. You know, so this list is not exhaustive. There's a lot of roles you can actually venture into. So yeah, moving on to some of the skills you need in order to become a Bitcoin developer, because this talk is mostly focused on the developer side of things. Um, First, you need to be a developer, right? You need to have been, working as a developer for some time. Um, these are some of the programming languages that are currently being used in the Bitcoin space. They are quite popular. C++ is used for the core layer right now, while Rust is mostly used for the applications. So most of the applications that are currently being built are built in Rust. Python is for the testing environment for Bitcoin. Um, but that doesn't mean if you know JavaScript or Java or Go, there are so many projects out there. There's a website, Bitcoin devs.xyz. You could look at it and see the different projects that are currently available. Um, you can even select by a certain language and get to see, these different projects. You also need to understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. What makes Bitcoin work? How come Bitcoin has been existing for over a decade and is still, up and running? Cryptography is basically how Bitcoin is secure. Talks about the security of Bitcoin. Makes you understand um, what it means for Bitcoin to be secured. So that gives you an understanding of, um, how Bitcoin works, and you need to learn these fundamentals. You need to understand decentralized systems, systems that even if one of the components is out, the rest keep, working. They are also called peer-to-peer networks. Peer-to-peer networks are networks that speak to each other directly. There's no intermediary. Um, for example, we have intermediary in the fintech too. If you're sending money to OP, this fund goes through CBN. It doesn't go directly, to OP. That is why the CBN keeps charging you 15 naira or so for every transaction you do. That's because there's an intermediary. So if it was just GT talking directly to OP, there'll be no fee or necessary fee involved. So that's how peer-to-peer network works. They talk directly to each other. You know, um, you need to understand these concepts in order to, you know, move forward as a Bitcoin developer. And you need to also get familiar with the Bitcoin APIs that are available out there. You know, there are so many things that have been done for you, so many libraries, so many APIs that are available. You just need to understand how these guys work. And yeah, that's going to be a very good skill for you to have. So when you have these skills, what's the next thing? You need to start building a career, in the Bitcoin space. You can start by contributing to open source projects. Um, I talked about open source projects being available for anyone to contribute to. Just go to GitHub, search for Bitcoin projects. There's a whole lot of them. Bitcoin devs.xyz also has, different projects you can look to. Select your language and you can look at the code base, pull it, and start contributing. You don't need anyone's permission to actually contribute to open source project. Trust is actually paying developer right now, you know, to contribute to open source project. I'm going to be dropping a link later to um, to talk more about that too, so you can get more information about that and how you can contribute and get to earn Bitcoin. Um, you also need to engage in the different Bitcoin developer communities. BitDevs is a meetup that happens once a month in about 6, 7 locations in Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, Abuja, Accra, Ghana, Nairobi, Kenya. So these are technical meetups where Bitcoin developers come, or even if you're not a Bitcoin developer, you can still join, get to talk about Bitcoin, get to learn, and you can use that to keep building your career. Trust Builders is also on that community. There's a Discord group you can join, get to engage other developers, get to meet like minds and know what's happening. And also, you need to stay updated on what's happening in the Bitcoin development space. You need to attend conferences, So there's some conferences that are happening online. You can attend online or in person. You need to attend these conferences because it's going to really help you with your career. Um, Also, you can explore job opportunities at different companies. There's this website, Bitcoiner Jobs. Yeah, Bitcoiner Jobs. You can look at the different careers or different roles rather that are currently employing for. Look at the skills they're looking for. If you don't meet some of them, you can start, working towards meeting those skills. You know, um, Also, if you want to do your own thing, right? You don't want to work for a company. You probably have an idea, on how to use Bitcoin to do something. You can start, building projects yourself. Like I said, there are APIs out there. Bitnub has so many APIs and libraries you can use to get started. You can also join hackathons and build this project, showcase this product in any hackathon you'll be attending. And you can continue building a career from there. I remember in 2023, there was a conference, Bitcoin conference in Accra. Some Kenyans were there, and after attending the conference, they were motivated to actually, build something based on what they've learned from the conference. They went back to Kenya, and that led to the product called Tando. Tando is actually an app you can use for making payments. I was there with a lot of people last year in Nairobi where a conference happened, a Bitcoin conference. A lot of people went there with just Bitcoin. And with that app, you can pay anybody in Kenya, without even holding any Kenya shillings. So you don't need to start going to bureau de change to change. With that app, you pay mobile money, you pay, for your food, you pay for your taxi, you pay for your hotel. So yeah, this is just an example of, people that went to Bitcoin conference, they got motivated and they built something out of it. And currently, Tando is really doing well right now in Kenya. And talking more about Bitnob APIs, you can actually leverage on it because they're actually easy to use. They've made life easy for you, right? If you're looking at sending and receiving payments globally, there's an API for you for doing that. Right now, you can't even send money from here to Ghana using the current financial institutions we have. These are things that a lot of people like InterSwitch, Flutterwave, Paystack, Remita, they've been trying to do, but they failed at it. But with Bitcoin and Bitnob's API, you can actually create solutions that allow people, to send money from here to anywhere, in the world. Um, Also, you can have like a Bitcoin or USDT wallet. So I remember working on a solution late last year, and I wanted to build a Bitcoin wallet from scratch. I did that. It was quite cumbersome. It took a lot of time to do that. If I had known about Bitnob APIs, I would have just jumped straight to it and used 30 minutes to get it up and running instead of spending weeks to, get a simple Bitcoin wallet up and running. So yeah, you can integrate with Bitnob. Um, the Bitcoin wallets is available. If you're looking at volatility, you can use the USDT wallet. Um, Also, um, if you have clients that use virtual cards to make payments, I know a lot of people have been having issues with making payments online. Using the different virtual card providers out there. Bitnub have like a card issuing API that you can use to actually give your customers virtual cards to use. You can also build a solution that gives people virtual cards to use, and they don't even need to know that Bitcoin is behind all this. And you can spend up to $10,000, monthly using these virtual cards. If you're a business owner, you want to, receive money from people instead of sending like a bank account and telling them, "Oh, send this amount." Some people might decide to send more or less. So you just create the payment link, attaching how much that needs to be paid and send to the person. You know, so by the time the person clicks on the link, he or she will be given options to pay in different, currency. So the person could pay using Bitcoin, USDT, or Naira using these payment links, right? And you can also configure it to receive your money in any of this currency. So probably they want to pay in Naira, but you want to receive it in USDT. You can, configure it and you get paid as such. Same thing with donations and ticketing. You have an event coming up and you want to be able to integrate ticketing into your website or your mobile app, you know, Bitnop got you covered, with the APIs for doing that. So yeah, summary of what I just talked about. There's a lot of opportunities, for developers and also non-developers. You just need to look at the different career paths, look at the skills that are needed and start engaging the community, you know, um, to get familiar with what's happening. Also get hands-on experience through open source contributions and projects. You can also get hands-on experience through the Beatrust Builders program. So Beatrust Builders have a program for beginners, intermediate level, and also senior level. The senior level is currently going on, but you can actually join the junior and the mid-level um, program coming up next week. So I'm going to be dropping a link to. You can register for any of the pathways that are available, and get some hands-on experience. And also, this will help you contribute to the Bitcoin open source space, and yeah, you can start earning as soon as your contributions are meaningful. And finally, I talked about how you can leverage, established infrastructures like Bitnob to build innovative solutions. So yeah,